What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? In today's video, we're going to talk about reparations, whether Africa needs them or Africa doesn't need them. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we're family, right? People, let's talk about reparations, right? So, Africa's push for reparations is getting louder and louder. And Europe's reaction to the reparations is getting, I don't know, more quieter and quieter, more silent, more. It's even so deafening, the silence of Europe, because they just don't seem to want to move to pay reparations for anything. Now, here's the funny thing: during slavery, or at the end of slavery, right? Did you know that slave owners were paid? Excuse me. Slave owners were paid reparations for loss of labor, loss of income, and they were given reparations. The slave owners were given reparations because they lost their source of income, which was primarily their slaves. So they were given reparations to start over, to continue, to weather the storm of whatever repercussions there were from losing their slaves. The slaves, on the other hand, were given nothing, just the options to go to Jamaica, free to leave, and a lot of them left with nothing. So much so that a lot of them stayed on those slave plantations. Now, that's the old days. So let's fast forward to modern day time, right? So in the 40s, 50s, 60s, colonization happened. A lot of things happened. And African people lost a lot of things. They lost their livelihoods, they lost their land, they lost resources, they lost their sources of income, they lost a whole host of things. So Britain, Europe is responsible for that, right? Because they pillaged Africa of its resources, even took some human capital with them, right? So if they found it in their hearts to repay the slave owners for loss of income or for loss of labor, shouldn't they repay Africa for the stuff they stole? I mean, even up to this day in 2025, European countries still hold African artifacts in their museums, and they have no intention of returning them. Now, I don't know if that's a fair deal. I don't know if that is okay to hold on to stolen property. I don't know what gives them the right to think that those artifacts belong to them. The sad thing about this whole dynamic is that it's all about power. It's a power dynamic. It's almost like who's got the most power, who's going to give in first, who's going to make us pay what we don't feel like paying because they don't see the need for reparations. So my point is, if you saw the need to repay the farmers for loss of labor, how can you not see the need to repay the slaves for loss of livelihood, loss of life that they were robbed of? Do you understand what I'm saying? Red Indians, well, not the red, but the native Indians, some of the tribes were given reparations. That some of them were even now operating their own casinos to generate their own sources of income, and they don't have to necessarily rely on the American government or the federal government. At least some tribes are given some form of reparations. The African American community are still fighting for reparations. Africa still fighting for reparations. So is it a race thing? because it seems like blacks are not entitled to any sort of reparations. But Europe and the Americas were entitled to pillaging and benefiting and continue to benefit off of those pillaged items and those pillaged activities. They pillaged so much that they gained generational wealth that to this very day, Africans and Black Americans continue to suffer the after effects of slavery. I mean, it's totally unfair. It's just not right that Africa and Black Americans or African Americans have to endure decades, almost like 400 years of racism and unjust laws and injustices and just a whole lot of things that still continue to this very day with no end in sight. And if one has to be honest, I think it's even getting worse, almost unabated. I mean, you can see the actions of Europeans in the Middle East as we speak. The Palestinians' land taken, just not taken, destroyed livelihoods, destroyed totally to the ground, destroyed, and it's going unabated. Now, let me tell. Now, how would you? Okay, can you please, or can someone please explain to me Israel's actions in the Middle East and how you can justify that? You understand what I mean? Because you can clearly see that those Israeli people do not belong. Geographically speaking, you can see that they do not belong in that region of the world. They did not originate in that region of the world. You can clearly see that. Nowhere in the Bible was there Caucasian people. Nowhere. So, but now they claiming that that is their land in the Middle East. So it doesn't make sense that they saying that is their land. How can you be Caucasian and have land in Arabia? Doesn't make sense at all, right? But I digress. But guess what? That what's happening now is a reflection of what used to go on in the past. The destruction, the erasure of people, and all that. It still continues to this very day, unabated because of a certain race group. Now, my thing is reparations. Who's going to pay reparations, and why don't they want to pay reparations? Who committed the crimes? Why do they not want to pay for those crimes? Guess what? Here's another. Here's another nugget that I also came across that I didn't even know. If I say to you now, please name me the biggest drug dealer that ever lived on the face of this earth, you know what you're going to tell me? Pablo Escobar. And guess what? You're wrong. You know what the biggest drug dealer in the world is? The British Empire. You know why? They shipped more opium to China than Escobar ever exported to anywhere across the world. And it was called the Opium Wars. You can check that out in the history books. Guess what? The British government, they shipped, exported, or imported so much opium to China that they got the whole nation hooked on opium. Was there any recourse for their actions? No. Why? Because people, I don't want to turn this into a race thing. It's not about race, it's about reparations. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. If you did something wrong to someone, you should go and correct that wrong. Two wrongs do not make a right. If you know you've taken and stolen artifacts that do not belong to you, go and return those artifacts. If you know that you have built a farm on ancestral land, have the decency to at least give back half of that ancestral land or a quarter of that ancestral land. But instead, no, they're refusing to do such things. People, how can we live in a just and fair society or a country when you have people who have grabbed all that they can grab and refuse to share it with the majority? That is why I say reparations is a must. We cannot let it die down. In my view, if I was to be honest, if I were president and I claim reparations and they don't want to pay reparations, then guess what? You are free to leave the country, right? Take everything that you think belongs to you, but leave whatever you made through our country stays here. You only take what you have on your back. Everything else stays here. If you bought it here, it stays here. If you earned it here, it stays here. It is ours. So if you do wrong and you don't feel like you need to, or you need to pay some sort of repentance for what you did, then it's fine. Then please leave. Same like the European. I I honestly truly believe that Africa should totally ban European companies. Africa should just totally ban trade and all just cut diplomatic ties with Europe and America. I honestly truly believe that because these two nations or these two people have totally brought destruction and mayhem to Africa. The companies and the charities are in the exact same position where they are here to monitor, give feedback, and continue the destruction of Africa. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. If you think I'm on the money, if I totally missed it for this one, right? Next, we get into the pros of getting reparations. Holla. People, pros of getting reparations. Number one, if the money lands in the right hands, it can improve the lives of disadvantaged people, disenfranchised people, and the people that have suffered the most under colonialism who continue to suffer to this very day. If reparations are paid, infrastructure can be improved, lives can be improved. If reparations are paid, guess what? The whole of Africa can see an upliftment if the money lands in right hands and is put to good use. As a case in point would be Botswana. The way Botswana has used its money to better the country, infrastructure, and the people's lives. I think Botswana is a good model from which all African countries can draw inspiration from. Those are the one, two ideas I can think of with the reparations that Africa can benefit from. Let me know in the comment section what other benefits Africa can get from receiving reparations. Negative connotations of reparations. Number one, just like the COVID fund, when the money comes in, guess what? It's going to automatically vanish without a trace. Number two, the cons of reparations. A certain group of individuals are going to feel entitled to it. Normally, it's going to be the elite. That's another con. Number three, a con of reparations. Getting reparations almost feels like you are needy, even though you are entitled to it. Makes you feel like you are bowing down to a colonial master. That's why some countries don't even want it. Some countries are thinking we'll just rebuild by ourselves for ourselves without begging and asking and pleading as if, you know, you're groveling for something that's actually yours, meant to be yours, but now it's being made to beg and plead and, to make you look stupid and basically so. It's sad, but that's why I can understand why some countries just forego the whole reparations thing because if it's rightfully yours, it should just be rightfully given to you. Why should you be made to grovel for something that's yours? So instead of playing the whole victim card and playing the whole begging bowl tune every single time, like they go to the IMF with their hands out, begging bowls out, they just letting it slide and saying, okay, cool, let's leave the reparations alone. We'd rather just go for straight loans. And that's it. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below because I really feel like, honestly speaking, I really think that Britain, in particular, the biggest colonizer in history, I think they should be held. In fact, all the other European nations that colonized should be held responsible and they should repay whatever damage they caused to third world nations. That's what I truly feel. I don't know how you feel. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below. Salute.